about who has not closed a deal before? Like raise them up high. So I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hey.
I know we have like 3 closings this month.
Okay, all right, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
But
All
we
right, so
haven't
we got
closed any creative deals. We've closed traditional.
just like deals period in general. So we still got like 9 people. All right, okay, perfect. All right, so y'all know who I am. My name is Jabs Carter. No, Jabs is not my real name, but I go by Jabs because I used to box. Full time. I was a full-time entrepreneur. I was a return professional. I haven't shared the story with anybody, but Jabs is a hustler. Jabs is a grinder. So everything that I learned in boxing, I took that and I transitioned that into real estate. That's what a lot of people don't know about me. Why is your name Jabs? Your mom really named you Jabs? Yeah, they did. She named me Jabs. That's my name. But this is my partner Ben. He's not here today. He's actually I think he's marrying someone. Like not physically marrying somebody, but he's marrying. He's a pastor for. I think there's like a couple. I don't know how the wedding stuff is. I only got married once, so thank y'all for laughing at my joke. All right, so, but I'm from Fort Worth, so DFW is like my bread and butter. But I invest in a few different markets: Texas, Georgia, Virginia, Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. And if I get a beach house in California, I'll invest out there, but only a beach house. I'm not too big of California, just because of their landlord rules. They're not really landlord friendly, so I'd rather not invest out there. But I started in real estate in 2019. I was just wholesaling. One of my friends, he was an agent. He made his first $5,000 commission, and $5,000 back then meant a lot to me, like a lot. And that was when I was having my firstborn, my daughter. Her name is Zion. So I was trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do? Like, I was working from job to job. Like, this is a true story. Like, I wouldn't stay at a job for no more than like 3 weeks. This just wasn't for me. And I know y'all probably hear that story a lot from different people, but for me, like, it's very, very true. I couldn't stay on the job. My attention span is very, very short. So if you're talking to me, trust me, I'm listening, but I might be at the beach somewhere. So, damn, nobody laughed? All right, cool. There you go. All right, but because my attention span is kind of short, like, just working jobs is boring. Sitting at a desk, I sit at a desk now, which is funny because I'm always closing calls, which is funny. But anyway, but just working a job for me, it just wasn't me. Like, I try to make it fun, but while I was working, I was actually studying. Every single day I'm on YouTube. I was delivering donuts. I was doing security. I was working at a warehouse. So my back kind of hurts sometimes because I was working at warehouses, picking up gallons of waters and gallons of milk. But anyway, nobody laughed at that. It's cool. Still no laugh. All right. But anyway, so as I was working these jobs, I was kind of figuring out, all right, cool. My boy made $5,000, and he's black as hell too. He made $5,000. I can make $5,000. What is different about him? $5,000 was a lot to me. Trust me. So when he made that check, he was like, "Bro, I think you need to come into real estate." And I said, "Well, show me the money first." He showed me the check. He had this boxing glove on. He took a picture with the buyers. It was funny because he had a glove on talking about, "I will fight for you." And I'm like, "Bro, it's fucking real estate. Like, chill out, cool off." So when he sent me that check, I'm like, "Damn, I just had this baby. My girlfriend at the time, wife now, like, we really need this money. Like, how can we make this work?" So he kind of introduced me to driving for dollars. We were driving for dollars for someone. I'm introducing this story so that just in case anybody that haven't closed a wholesale deal, I can walk you through it before I get into this. That way all this stuff can make sense. So I went into, we started driving for dollars. That was like our very first way of closing deals. We probably hit like maybe 100 houses a day, sometimes 200 houses a day. It's all a numbers game. If we hit 100 houses per day, per week, that's 500 houses. If we do 5 days a week, that's 2,000 a month. Out of that 2,000, at least 20 people should be willing to sell their house. Probably want $1 million for it, but someone wants to sell their house. So we kind of figured out the numbers. I didn't really know nothing about this stuff. I just knew I was driving around, listening to some podcasts, listening to YouTube, and just hitting some houses, some ugly houses. I got a whole Google Drive about driving for dollars, because some people, they only look for like ran down houses. I look for certain little flaws. So as we were driving for dollars, we're adding these houses to our list. And then from there, we would skip trace them. I didn't know what skip tracing was. I thought we were just stalking people, trying to figure out who they are. Like, why are you stalking these people? He said, we gotta find out who actually own these properties. So we figured it out. All right, cool. We skip traced them. We'll go ahead and send them a text message. We were using batch leads at the time. So skip trace these people, send out text messages, stalking them, sending out these text messages, and then we got our first hook, got our first lead. That very first lead was a deal I did in South Dallas. We made $10,000 on that one. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was in July. When we closed that deal, the seller almost pulled out because they figured out that we were wholesaling it. They found out that we were selling it to someone else and we were making $10,000 in the middle. So he almost pulled away at the closing table once he seen the closing statements, which was crazy. But we got it closed. I split that with like 2 other people, and that was my first actually seeing $10,000. Not in my bank account, but I actually seen 10 grand. I'm like, wow, like this can change my life, my wife's at that time girlfriend, my babies. Like this could really change us. So from there, I just started. Let me see. From driving for dollars, we started door knocking on pre-foreclosures. We found this website, and if y'all can't pull out y'all's phones, but we found this website called taxsales.lgbs.com. Really good websites for all of the properties that's about to go to auction because they're behind on their taxes. So we found that website. It's free leads. I was budget friendly. It's very budget friendly. So if you're cheap like me, I'm very, very cheap with everything. I'm very, very cheap, or frugal. I'm sorry, I just learned that word. But I'm very frugal when it comes to spending money. I don't like spending money unless it's like a big ass TV or something, or maybe a new PS5 or something like that. But because I was frugal, I said, okay, we can go get these leads. They're free. You don't have to pay for them like you do on Prop Street. But we can go on this website, go knock on their doors for free. The only thing we're spending is gas money. Again, I'm frugal. I'm cheap. I'm gonna tell y'all why I'm cheap, like why it ties into this crap. But we can go door knock on these leads, and we can basically get another lead and we can get another deal. So now that we're door knocking these leads, we found that the absentee owners was like our niche list. So we would go door knock and figure out, okay, who owns this property and where is their mailing address? So we would go to their mailing address. It was easier for me. We'll go to their mailing address and ask them about a property that's like miles away. And it would sell. They would be interested in selling. They don't care about it. There's no attachments to it. So we closed another deal. That was like a proven concept for us. So driving for dollars and door knocking was our concept for finding deals and closing. So now, what does me being cheap and frugal have to do with deals? I don't like to spend money on deals. I like to use other people's money. I like to leverage other people's money. The reason why is because I know what I'm doing. I will not leverage someone else's money if I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Because that person can probably beat my ass for spending their money and I don't pay them back. You know what I mean? I like to sleep good at night, if that makes sense. Nobody laughed. All right, here we go. So just think of this. You got something that's gonna cost you maybe $40,000. Who in here got $40,000, like right now in their bank account? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm gonna keep y'all in contact. No, but just think, you got a $40,000 property where it takes you about 40 grand to get into this deal. You don't have the 40,000, except for y'all. You don't have the $40,000, so where you gonna get that money from? Well, you come to these networking events, you holler at people on Facebook, kind of build some rapport with them, you borrow their money. But first of all, you gotta know what you're doing. You gotta make sure that you know how to run comps. You gotta make sure that you know how to underwrite. You have to make sure that you know that you're gonna pay these people back on time. You have to make sure that first. Now that we know, okay, cool, we got the strategies, we know what we wanna do with this property. All right, hey, Cedric, I need 40 grand for about 7 months. I'll pay you back in 7 months. I'll give you 12% interest on your money. He might say 12%, that's not a lot of money. I want to see 15 or 18%. All right, perfect. Here, send the money to escrow. That's right, the promissory note, deed of trust. Now I just borrowed the funds from him. We got it. He over here doing the math. That's crazy. But anyway, nobody laughs. Damn, wake up, y'all. Come on. All right, so I borrowed the funds from him. We send that deal over. We pay for the deal. I want to make sure everybody understands this. I'm borrowing 40 grand from this guy. Do 40,000 times 18% divided by 12. What is that per month?
That's simple interest?
600.
600.
Yep.
I'm paying this guy about 600 a month to borrow $40,000 for 6 months. 600 times 6, that's what, 3,600. He just made 3,600 bucks, interest only payments for 6 months. For some, that's not a lot of money. For some people, hey man, if I could keep making money like this, I'll go ahead and be a private money lender for eternity or whatever. All right, cool. So now he's gonna ask me, well, Jabs, how are you gonna pay me my money back? Here's how. I can refinance the property if it has equity. I can refinance it. I can sell it. Or I can call this guy and say, hey, can you give me $45,000? What do you need it for? So I can pay this guy off and I can put 5 in my pocket for structuring this deal. I'm cheap. I don't like to spend money on deals at all. I know how to leverage. So I'm telling y'all all of this so that when I present this, everything makes sense. It's good to be cheap. It is not good to overspend on a property that's not worth it. And a lot of people are doing that today, and we need to stop that. Because it's putting a bad taste in everybody's mouth. You're going to see a lot of people talking about this guy didn't pay me back.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of it, and we don't need that, not in our community. So it's good to be cheap, or sorry, frugal. I just learned that.
I use wealth conscious. Instead of frugal or cheap, I say wealth conscious.
I like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Sounds better.
Cool.
It does sound better. I'm cheap as fuck. I'm cheap. So, does everything that I just said before we get started, does this all make sense? All right, I'm gonna show y'all why. Hit the down arrow. All right, so we're gonna go over what is subject to, what's creative financing, the power of squatting up, the power of leveraging, and I'm gonna give you guys 2 case studies. I'm gonna make it quick because I know probably in like 15 minutes, Chris is gonna say, hey, we gotta rotate. So anybody who does not know what subject to is? All right, we got 2 people. Subject to, I'm gonna just put it in like maybe 1 or 2 sentences. All it is we're just taking over someone else's debt. If somebody owns a property or somebody owns a mortgage, we're literally coming in, purchasing the property subject to the existing mortgage. So if you owe $450,000 on your house and you're asking $470,000, how much do you want in your pocket? If you owe $450 and you're asking $470, how much are you really asking net in your pocket?
$20,000.
$20,000. Okay, perfect. So you want $20,000. Your house is probably worth $500,000. All right, look. Hey, what's your name?
Jack.
Jack. Hey man, I know you. How much do you owe? $450. All right, you asking $470. Would you be open to doing something like this? Because there's not no equity inside of this house. Let's just be real. Would you be open to doing something like this? I give you that $20K up front, and I just take over your debt. I'll continue making the mortgage payments on your behalf. Now, first thing you're gonna think is no. Like, well, I don't even know you. Why would I allow you to take over my mortgage? Some people, they think like that. I don't. Hey man, you're in a situation where you need this $20,000. That $20K is what are you using this money for? Like, what's going on? Shit, I wanna move with my mom. My wife, she just left me. My house, I'm paying $2,500 a month. Okay, well look, can we work something out where I give you 10 up front and maybe 10 on the back end? What do you mean by that? Okay, look, I'll give you $10,000. I'm gonna give you $20,000 in total, but I'll give you $10,000 right now. That way you can move out, move with your mom. If you need me to pay for the expenses, I can do that too. But I'm gonna pay you the other $10,000 on the back end whenever we refinance the house. Or I can pay you maybe $100, $200 a month for the next 5 or 7 or 10 years. That way I pay you off in full. I'll break it down in a way where they understand, but I'm just trying to make it quick for you guys. So that's literally subject to. Here, I'm paying your debt, taking over your mortgage. You walk away from the property. We transfer the deed. Now the property is mine. The mortgage remains in your name. You probably got a 2.5%, 3.5% interest rate. Right now, I'm not buying anything cash because interest rates are about 7, 8, 9% when we refinance the properties. I would rather keep that loan, that mortgage in place. Who got a 3% interest rate right now on their mortgage? I'll take over all y'all's mortgages right now. Because
Never move.
the way that real estate works, guys, if you're buying bad debt, it's gonna bite you in the long run. But if you're buying good debt, like your family's gonna appreciate it. I promise you. So, what is creative financing? Creative financing is it's really just buying real estate creatively. Like you're literally just kind of brainstorming, how can we purchase this property without going to a traditional lender? How can we purchase this property without going to go pull out a loan from Bank of America or Wells Fargo? It's how can we put our brains together and just think, hey, You want 20 grand in your pocket? Well, let's get a little creative. How can we do that without notifying the bank saying that I'm buying your house and I don't have to pay them off? It's just being creative. That's literally, that's it. Squatting up. Squatting up is me doing a deal with Jack. Jack says, hey, Jabs, I'll give you 40 grand, but I want 15, 16% on my money. Some people start at 8, some people start at 10, some people just want to see 12. Depends on Jack. All right, Jack, look, I'll give you that 15% interest on your money, but I need you to stay in the deal with me for about 2 years versus 6 months. Jack may say, hey, look, bro, I don't think I can do that. Maybe I can come down on my interest rate if you can come down on the length of term. All right, cool. Let's work out a deal. We shake hands, sign a promissory note, deed of trust. We just squat it up. Another way of squatting up, if you don't have funds to do any of these deals, why don't you squat up with somebody who do have the funds, somebody that don't have the time to go out and source the properties, go out and negotiate with these sellers, go out and negotiate with the agents. Squat up with somebody who have the funds and you do the work. If you got money and you don't have the time, why don't you squat up with the person who do have time and they don't have the money? That's what I did. These are my little secret sauces, whatever you want to call them. But like right now, I literally just squatted up with someone who's high in net worth. He's like, hey, look, I want you to come run the team, you come run the show, I'll pay for everything, but I'm gonna sit back and relax. I got other stuff that I have to work on, but I want you to do it. Really? How much are you paying me? No, I'm just playing. So we worked out a split, but the thing is that we're squatting up together. He's leveraging my time, and I'm leveraging his resources. So I kind of went into leveraging already, but leveraging, you can leverage other people's money. You can also leverage other people's credit. You can leverage other people's time and their resources. I've done all of them. My credit stinks. 5 at the time. 5. I was like 490 when I was buying houses. 490. Am I ashamed of it? No, because I learned. So, leveraging other people's credit, leveraging other people's money, leveraging other people's time and resources is going to help out a lot. Let me tell you about credit. So, with not having really good credit to purchase a house the traditional way, you're going to have somebody like co-sign for you, right? So, Cedric, if you have really good credit and I just purchased a property so that I can keep it as a long-term rental, I'm going to have to refinance this house so that I can pay off my private lenders and I can pay off the seller the remaining balance that I owe them, whatever. But if I go to Jack, where's Jack? He's not in here. He's a hard money lender. But if I go to him and I say, hey, Jack, I need a DSCR loan, and I'll get into that later. I need a DSCR loan because my credit sucks. He's going to ask, well, what is your credit? I'm at like a 490. Bro, get out of my face. All right, cool. Well, how can we get around that? Well, if you bring someone to me with at least a 620 credit score, I can then get you approved for a 30-year mortgage. Okay, perfect. Who got good credit here? Here we go. What's your name?
Clay.
Clay?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Clay, I'm gonna bring you to Jack. Jack is not you, Jack, the other Jack. He's the hard money lender. I'm gonna bring you to Jack. I'm gonna put you on my LLC. That way we can have your credentials is basically my credentials now. I'm gonna add you to my LLC, and Jack is gonna say, hey, I'll go ahead and fund you guys. When do you guys need this money? Well, we need it ASAP. We need to refinance right now. So Jack refinances the property. I now pay back whoever my private money lender is, and I just leverage his credit. That kind of makes sense? All right, perfect. Now I got 2 case studies I want to show everybody. Ready? Any questions so far before I get into this?
I have a question. So when you refinance a subject to, is it the person on the mortgage, or are you doing it under your name?
We're going to do it under our name. Either our LLC or maybe a trust or something like that.
When you do that, does your partner have to stay on the LLC as like a managing partner or anything like that?
During the refinance process, yes.
And then it can leave or no?
Like after a while, he can go ahead, we can remove him. Once we completed the refinance process, I can remove him from my LLC.
Okay.
Anybody got anything else? Those are really good questions. So, remember I told y'all I invest in Virginia. This property was in the hood. I remember I actually just sold this one to an investor. Me and my partner, we made 60 grand on it. It was crazy because we still have the original mortgage in place. This is a subject to deal. In the subject to world, we call this deal a hybrid. It's where you're paying the mortgage and you're also paying the seller on top of the mortgage. So if your mortgage, matter of fact, I'll explain it right here. So here's why I like the deal. Let me go into that. There's no cash out of pocket. I told y'all, I'm frugal. I'm cheap. I don't like to spend money on deals. It really pays to be cheap, I promise. I got paid $13,000 to buy it. I borrowed more money than I needed so that I can get paid up front. It cash flows 500 plus, like basically day one. I love the hood. I'm from the hood, so I purchase properties in the hood. I know how they think. I know how they are. I love the hood. This is my hood. I'm gonna stay here. Good. I'll be your landlord forever. Then stay here. I'll be your landlord forever. Jabs has bad credit. Now I threw that out there just in case anybody in here has bad credit and they think they can't buy a house. You can. But Jabs has bad credit. It's up there now. Not a 700 just yet, but it's up there. And it was also Section 8 approved. So with Section 8, they are kind of tedious with a lot of stuff. I don't know if anybody purchased a property and put it on Section 8, but Section 8 is very, very tedious. We failed our inspections 4 times before we actually passed. We failed inspection 4 times. We spent probably 15 grand in repairs. Tedious stuff, like just the smallest stuff. So let's talk about the terms really, really quick. If y'all can look this address up. I want y'all to look this address up because there's a real story with this. This property was worth $236 when we bought it. We bought it for ARV. It was worth $236,000. If somebody look up this address on Zillow, please tell me how much it's worth right now.
308.
$308,000. How do y'all think I feel about that right now? We bought this last year. It is now worth $300,000 today. And we sold it a couple weeks ago. That is fucking crazy. So,
Did you sell it to
Yeah,
wrap?
that's what I was gonna say.
Did you wrap it when you sold it?
I didn't wrap it. We sold it to an investor. They literally came in, they took over I'll explain that real quick. So the way that we sold it to an investor who wants to see like 20% cash on cash return on their money. These guys came in, they said, hey, we see your property, we want it. We're like, all right, cool, this is what we're selling it for. We're gonna keep the mortgage in place though. They're like, how much you guys want? My partner threw out 75 grand. Because this property actually makes about $1,000 a month if you take out the private money lender and the sellers. And I'll talk about that in a second. But they gave us $65,000 to come in and pay off the private money lender, and they're like, y'all can keep the rest. So the reason why we got that much was because they saw that it was worth $300,000 and it already has instant equity, if that makes sense. But yeah, we just sold this, but the mortgage is still in the original seller's name. They're okay with it. We already informed them, told them we're selling it, and they're continuing making their $200 a month. We didn't pay them off because the seller said, hey, we're fine with making it $200 a month. That's going towards our other mortgage. Well, all right, cool. So I sold it. Now I shouldn't have, but the reason why we sold it was because these tenants, they were calling me every damn day for no reason. Someone is sleeping up under our house. Can you come get it? Ma'am, I'm in Texas. What the hell am I gonna do? Like, what? But we had sold it, and we put that cash into a different deal. But the ARV on this was $236 when we bought it. They owe $196. So if you guys do the math, 236 minus 196, that's probably
40,000.
40 grand. They only wanted $20,000. They said, we just want $20,000 and we'll walk away. Okay, perfect. The only thing is that $20,000 doesn't make sense for me right now. How about we do something where I give you a lump sum up front out of that 20 and I'll pay you in monthly installments or monthly payments. They said, okay, what can you give us right now? I don't know, what do you need? We need 20. Okay, let's be realistic. You don't have any equity inside this property. So what do you need right now? Fine, Jabs, if you can just give us 10K, we'll walk away from the property. All right, if I can make that 10K work, are y'all ready to move out now? Yeah, give us 10K and you pay us the rest over the course of 5 years. We'll walk away from this property. We'll give you the keys today. All right, cool. How about we do 9?
You're cheap.
I'm cheap. Exactly.
But it
I'm
works.
cheap. So that's the beauty. I'm telling y'all have to be cheap, frugal, or what was it?
Well,
Low contract.
There we go. I just learned another new word. I'm gonna start using that for the next event. So we got them down to $9,000. We're paying them $200 a month for the next 45 months. Some people, for all the technical people, if you do the math, 200 times 45, yes, we'll still owe them a little bit more, but we can easily pay that off with using a private lender or whatever. But let's talk about the rental numbers. We're renting this for $2,350. Section 8 approved us to get $2,350 a month. That's a lot of money. The PITI on this was $1,177. So if you do the math, $2,350 minus $1,177, that's a really good spread right there. That's over $1,000. Now, of course, we're very conservative with our numbers. So even though you can get the difference between the rent and the PITI, we always put money back just in case, you know, you have like a roof leak or maybe the toilet breaks or something like that. Somebody breaks a window. We always put funds back. We call it war chest. So we put around 10 to like 20% back for war chest. If it's in the hood, we put back 20% of the rental. So if we rent it out for $2,350, multiply that by 20%, that's how much we're putting back for our war chest. Now, we're giving the sellers $200 a month. Our private money lender, he's making $456 on the investment that he gave us, which I think was around like $36,000, somewhere around there. That's $1,844 a month in total that we're paying. We still walk away with $500 in profit. So, the moral of this story, first of all, when you're talking to sellers, figure out what's their motivation. What do they need? Why are you selling? What's going on in your situation that made you wake up and say, we need to sell this house? Something bothered you where you said, I have to sell my house. Some people might want to sell, they don't actually need to. The people that actually need to sell, what do you need to sell this for? What are your plans? What are you about to do? Oh, well, we're about to move in with our parents. We got stuff that we have to do. Okay, what is it that you have to do? You kind of got to get nosy. You got to figure out what's going on. I'm cheap, so I'm getting to the bottom of all of this stuff. Because if they say we don't need nothing but like $3,000 to walk away, here's $3,000. Actually, let's do $2,500. All right, so we can go to the next slide. But does this deal right here make sense? Anybody have any questions?
do you do a lot of Section 8?
Yes.
That's kind of what.
You know who started the Section 8 thing? Who got me like actually interested? That guy right there, Zach. So yes, Zach he kind of inspired me to do the Section 8. I found the website that he used, which is the 2023 payment standards, and you can find out like whatever market you're buying in. You can see what they're actually paying, what they're going to pay you per month for rent. So that Zach actually inspired me to do some Section 8.
It's the best thing out there, man.
Yeah.
How do you vet like your tenants?
That's a good question. So
We thought about doing that, but it's kind of scary.
It is. I use Facebook Marketplace to actually find my tenants. That's actually how I found my Section 8 tenant. She came to me and was like, do you take vouchers? I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'll take it. So usually what we do is we just ask like a few questions. We don't really care about their credit. We don't really care about that. We're trying to get a tenant in here.
Right.
Now, if something happens to where they stop making payments, we're fair. We give you 30 days, sometimes 45, but just let us know up front. But we just kind of asked a few questions, like how was your last tenant, or how was your last, what made you move from your last place that you were at? That's the first question we asked. Oh, well, the payment is too high. Okay, our payment is this much. Can you afford it? Yeah, I can afford it. Okay, do you have bank statements? Do you have blah, 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 blah? So we asked like basically like for their information. Now, as far as like pre-vetting them, we let Zillow do that for us whenever we're marketing on Zillow. Because Zillow have like a questionnaire that they have to go through. They have to go through a background. They have to go through like a whole bunch of stuff before they can actually get to talk to us directly. So I would kind of suggest using Zillow. And then Zach, you got?
you would vet them just like you would vet any other tenant, right? Call their references, call their previous landlords, see why, they're no longer living at that place. It's not that difficult, right? But I think the benefit surrounding Section 8 is, it's great. You're getting automatic money from the state, like, So if I were to start all over again, I would always recommend going to Section 8 route. There's a shortage nationwide of affordable housing. I'm sure everyone has heard it. So if you get find a property, identify how much you can get based on the bedroom, and if it's feasible, your yield is there, I would definitely go to Section 8 route. In most of the cases, like, it depends on what market, the tenant only has to pay like a minute, like a fraction of what the total rent will be. $40, $100. Like, me being the landlord I am, I'm like, listen, keep the $100. Like, you know what I mean? So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, well, I guess like the mindset between like people that have Section 8 vouchers, like they're gonna trash your house.
Yeah, that's definitely a misconception, right?
Many of them are single moms, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when we look at people below the poverty line in our country, that's who it is.
Yes, sometimes, right, they are, right? Sometimes they're not. I think, but that's definitely a misconception, right? Having a housing voucher is like an asset to them because they have, substance, so they don't have to pay full rent. So they're gonna do everything they can to keep the voucher. And so they do, you are required to have inspections on the property. They're gonna come out, periodically to make sure it's in good condition. If it's not, they may not renew the voucher for the next year. So they're incentivized to keep everything going to keep that voucher. And the beautiful thing about that is, like, if someone passes away within the family, the relative is eligible to pick the voucher back up.
Can they lose the voucher pretty easily? And then is there any like restrictions on eviction, or how does that work?
There's no what do you mean by
So like if they lose the voucher, you're not getting the money anymore, and then they're not also paying, and then there's no restrictions or
No.
coverage or protection for them.
But again, like, that rarely happens, right? They want to keep their vouchers because the state is, they're living for their business.
Appreciate you, Zach.
Yeah, of course.
Anybody else?
How long does it typically take
It's
to
like
get
5
approved,
minutes.
to get the property approved for Section 8?
So you have to, it took us like 4 months just because we kept failing the inspections. As long as you know, like, you have to go to whatever market you're gonna, like, put your property on Section 8 in, you gotta go there and just kind of ask them, like, hey, what's your typical, like, what are y'all qualifications in order to pass the inspection? But as long as you pass the inspection the first time, it shouldn't take long, like, no longer than like 2 weeks. Because the process took us 14 days for them to kind of run everything. It doesn't take long. Just make sure that when you buy a property, that you do actually go in there and do the repairs. Again, I'm cheap, so I didn't do anything. Thought I was gonna get away with it, but no. They got us. They seen a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't see, obviously, because it's out of state, so we're not physically able to see it. But we got contractors and property management to go out there to kind of fix it up. 3 minutes, all right. Perfect. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we can go to the next one. All right. So I'm gonna go through this one really quick. We only got 3 minutes. But this is another subject to deal. This is in El Paso. Y'all can look this address up as well. This is a 2022 bill. This was built last year. So before I even go into this, is there any equity or is there not equity? There is none. So when you're looking at deals and you see that the year bills are like 2016 up until now, there's a little, like maybe a small tidbit of equity in there, but not a lot. So selling it on the market, highly unlikely. This guy tried to do that for like the past 90 days. This was an expired listing, which is a really good source of finding leads, expired listings. He tried to sell it on the market. He couldn't get what he wanted, obviously because he owed way too much. But the price he was asking, it was literally like retail value. So what we did was we told him, hey, look, we'll give you what you want, but you have to sell it to us on terms. The crazy thing about this deal is that I didn't do anything. I literally, like, I had a wholesaler. His name is Edgar. He literally just came, brought this deal to me and said, hey, I have a seller who's willing to take $24,000 subject to, and I was like, okay, cool, what do you need me for? He's like, I've never done a deal. I was like, and this is your first one? So his first deal was a subject to deal, which was crazy. Why do I like this deal? Because there was no energy and no effort. I didn't have to do anything. All I did was I just guided Edgar through the entire process. The only thing I really did was I talked to the buyer. I had Edgar go out and market this property. I'll give y'all a little code that I do. before I put anything under contract, and take this with a grain of salt, but before I put anything under contract, I get permission from the sellers to be able to market the property. Does that kind of make sense? So before I sign anything, saying that I'm gonna give you X amount of dollars, I will get the permission first from the seller. Hey, are you okay with me marketing this property? I'm gonna throw it on Facebook Marketplace, I'm gonna put it on Zillow, but I wanna find a wrap buyer, or I wanna find a tenant before I sign a contract with you.
Verbally?
Yes, we get verbal agreements. And we'll do like an option contract or something like that, just so that we have something in writing or some type of agreement that I can market the property. They're okay with it. If they're in a situation, they don't give a damn. They want you to help them. So that's what we did. I told Edgar, hey, get permission from this guy to allow us to market this property. This wasn't a rental because the rents were way too close to the mortgage. So what we did was, we got the permission from the seller, hey, can we market this? He said yes. We put it on Facebook Marketplace, Dueno a Dueno, owner to owner. The first thing we put on there. That captures the buyer's attention. We got seller finance, no credit check, no banks necessary. Down payment is your approval. People like to see stuff like that. I like to see stuff like that. So nobody laugh. All right, man, y'all a tough crowd, man. God, you still don't laugh? All right, I'm bored. Okay, I get it. So the minute that we marketed this, we found a buyer. Edgar had said, hey man, I don't think I can negotiate with this guy. Can you help him? That was the only thing I did, was help him negotiate with the buyer. So the buyer came in. We were selling this for $280. Typically, when we sell a seller finance deal, we ask for 10% down, so $28,000. This guy came in and said, I'll give you $40,000 down.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah,
Take that.
exactly. So in the beginning, I thought I was only going to make $28,000 minus the 23, which was $5, but I actually made $17,000 up front, all because I got the permission to market this property from the seller. I did like 5% work on this deal, literally 5%. Now, here's the caveat to it. He gave us $40,000 down, but we're only making about $100 a month. What he did was, he did what I do. If I give you this, will you do this? If I give you $40,000 down, will you come down on your mortgage payment? So that's what we did. So bottom line, guys, because I know we got to wrap it up. The profit centers are, we made $17,000 up front. We're going to make $12,000 during the 10-year term. And we're going to make about $4,000 after we complete this sale. So if y'all have any questions, next slide. If y'all have any questions, y'all want to get in touch with me, find me on YouTube and Instagram, jabs_Carter84. I answer all y'all questions. I will JB on deals, and I'll help y'all out. I appreciate y'all.
Thank
My
you.
God.